in the boardroom we have Education Elements. Nick and Miriam are the consultants from that particular organization, and they're here to speak with our group. We have a group of about 35 personalized learning experts. They are the forefathers, as personalized learning is in Jamestown Public Schools, and he's working with them. He started with them in October and has worked with them throughout the year. Today what they're doing is they're reiterating on their lesson. They did a lesson this week, last couple weeks, that infused personalized learning into the classroom, which is that the students are really the focus of the learning, that the learning is transferring from the teachers to the students, so the students will be actively engaged in learning for the classroom.
I think personalized learning is just good instruction because it meets kids where they are. So kids and every individual brings something different to the classroom, and being able to kind of personalize that, find what works for your students, really ensures that students get what they need.
When students take ownership of the learning process, they are more engaged, they're more involved, and it's better for learning.
Overall, we've seen an increase in student engagement, and so really students are taking ownership of the work and with some of the choices that they have, meeting with their teachers to set those goals. Sometimes those are outlined for specific students. And so one of the biggest features that I see is that kids are, excited about personalized learning.
The old textbook thing is, becoming more of a thing of the past. And, when you have virtual goggles and Oculus glasses and TikToks that are, so dynamic, for things to come alive, I think we need to spice it up a little bit. And
yeah, personalized learning was something that I could never really put my, rubber to the road. Tire meets the road. How does it look? How is it done? I like the idea of it, having each student individualize their education for their own path and for their best success. But how would it look?
The idea that Education Elements brought to us is that there's really 4 elements. There are reflection and goal setting, so we're going to set the pace ahead of time, look at what it is that the students are good at, and they set their own goals. Targeted instruction, which means we're going to put the kids' strengths and weaknesses into the lesson. Flexible path and pace, the kids get to choose which direction they want to go, which skills they want to emphasize, which things that they want to study within the standards, of course. And then collaboration and creativity, which is, instead of doing worksheets, really put those kids' problem-solving tasks to work and really see them grapple with real-life tasks of how do we create a project, what are the steps that we have to go through, what are the strengths and weaknesses that we have in our group, and how do we address those weaknesses within the group. And what they're doing today is they're looking at their lesson, thinking about how did it go, what can we do to improve it, what are the next steps, or do we scrap it all together and go in a different direction.
We're working with a group of teachers who are working on personalized learning. They are working to make their students' experience very personal inside their classrooms, which is why we're here today at the National Comedy Center. You'd be hard-pressed to find another company that personalizes the experience of going through there more than the Comedy Center does. And so today we're going to make correlations between how the Comedy Center makes this experience personal and how they can recreate that type of experience inside of their classrooms.
When we were building the National Comedy Center and a museum that addresses the entire pantheon of comedy history, the idea of personalization and engagement was really important to us, because not only is comedy fairly subjective, where 2 people can walk out of one show and one think it was really funny and the other not think it was funny at all, we are addressing different eras, and so we wanted to make sure that regardless of your age cohort, you would feel not alienated by the subject matter, but find a connection with it. And that was how the sense of humor profile was born. The sense of humor profile gets from every visitor their own attributes in their sense of humor, and that allows the exhibits at the National Comedy Center to read the room like any good comedian and respond to one's own sense of humor.
Well, you'll see them walking around with iPads. They have kind of a note catcher PowerPoint where they're going to look for the 4 components of personalized learning. And so every time they see that happening inside the Comedy Center, they snap a picture or jot notes. Then at 2 o'clock, we're all going to get together and we're going to talk about what they saw at the Comedy Center, and then they're going to share ideas about how they can recreate this, especially the way the Comedy Center leverages technology to personalize that experience. All of our students walk around with iPads. How can we leverage our technology to personalize their school experience?
I was really, after our last meeting together, was really interested to see how you could make this real life. And to come to a place that's literally downtown Jamestown was eye-opening, that we have this in our backyard. And it shows us what personalized learning looks like when you actually walk through it and experience it. So to have a workshop that was designed to make you immersed into this personalized world really helps bring it alive, because now I can take what I learned here back into the classroom. So for instance, as soon as you walk in, you're hit with, what are your favorite comedians and films and things to do with comedy? And so for me to have that choice right as you walk in the door makes it really neat to say to the kids, hey, what would you like to learn about the Great Depression? And what are your maybe memories that you already have, or something that is already sticking out in your mind that you've been taught about the Great Depression?
You know, allowing students to become their own historians. We hear that a lot, and giving them ownership of what's going on, and allowing students to create and be in charge of their own education and be the ones to, you know, discover these things themselves, instead of, you know, spoon feeding the information, which sometimes people get, you know, in the tendency of doing, but allowing the students themselves to be able to, you know, explore things and, you know, create different experiences and create some, you know, kind of a virtual experience of, you know, whether we're looking at, you know, Independence Hall where they wrote the Constitution, to, you know, to the Palace of Versailles for the Treaty of Versailles, and just to, I think this could light a fire for students, you know, and make history come alive for them.
But we can't teach the same way we have always done. The industrial model just doesn't work anymore. And we see these kids, they all have personalities and morals and mores, and they all are different. And we want to make sure that we infuse that difference into the classroom. And when we speak in Jamestown Public Schools, we've got kids from all over the world and all different languages, and it's just a melting pot of joy and love, and we want to make sure that that is conveyed in our lessons.
I've learned that we really do already have some of these teaching strategies and practices within our building. It's just making them more intentional now. And so taking that time when you're preparing for lessons or preparing for a unit.
It's just thinking about it in a new way and really kind of incorporating some new ideas into their teaching. So that's been a benefit to us, is it hasn't been a huge leap. It's just been kind of some new ways to think about things.
If I feel like I'm valued, if I feel like I had some say in my education, if I was able to choose the things that worked for me, I'm going to remember that. If I connect with a lesson, and I mean, when we think back to the lessons, we all think back to not necessarily the content, but that particular moment, that lesson that hit for you. If we can make that a common occurrence in Jamestown Public Schools, the kids will come out with such more of a rich education and a memory of, oh yeah, I remember that one particular thing because it hit me right where I was. That's what we're trying to do each day and every day here at Jamestown.